Let's be honest, you probably think the reason your finances are a mess is because you're lazy, or you're bad at math, or you just lack the willpower that all those successful people on Instagram seem to have. That's the story you've been told, and maybe it's the one you tell yourself. But what if that's the biggest lie in personal finance? What if I told you that your budgeting app is useless, your willpower will always fail, and the advice you've been following is actually making the problem worse? There's an invisible puppet master pulling your financial strings. It's the reason you feel a jolt of pure panic when you open your bank statement, even when there's money in it. It's the force that makes you splurge on things you don't need just to feel something, or to feel nothing. This isn't a character flaw, it's a wound. Experts call it financial trauma, and it's the ghost in your financial machine. Today, we're going to expose this secret saboteur. And more importantly, we're going to show you how to cut the strings so you can finally take control of your own wallet. So, what is this thing called financial trauma? Now, the term might sound intense, but it describes an experience a surprising number of people find familiar. It is the emotional and psychological distress that comes from negative financial experiences. It's not just about bankruptcy or massive debt. It's any experience that has left you feeling unsafe, ashamed, or helpless around money. Think of it like faulty wiring in your nervous system. It could be from growing up in a house where money was a constant source of fighting. It could be from a sudden job loss that pulled the rug out from under you, or the shame of not being able to afford what your friends had. It's important to be clear. Financial trauma is not an official clinical diagnosis like PTSD, though some symptoms can overlap. And it's different from everyday financial stress, which comes and goes. Financial trauma leaves a lasting imprint on your nervous system, teaching your brain to see money not as a tool, but as a threat. And when you feel threatened, your body's natural survival instincts take over. And this is where we see a few common patterns emerge. See if any of these sound familiar. First, there's financial avoidance. This is when you can't bring yourself to open bills or check your bank account. The thought of budgeting fills you with dread, so you just don't. It feels safer to not know, but it often makes problems worse down the line. Then there's the opposite. Financial hypervigilance. This is when you're obsessively checking your accounts, feeling panicked over buying a $5 coffee, even if you have a healthy emergency fund. You live with a constant humming anxiety that you're on the edge of ruin no matter how stable things are. Next is impulsive or compulsive spending. This is classic retail therapy, but with a darker twist. You spend money not for joy, but to soothe an uncomfortable feeling, stress, loneliness, or insecurity. The purchase gives you a momentary dopamine hit, but it's quickly followed by guilt and shame, creating a vicious cycle. And finally, there's extreme frugality or hoarding. This is a deep-seated fear of spending any money, even on necessities. It's born from a profound fear of instability, a belief that if you let any money go, it will all disappear. You might see yourself in one of these, or maybe you bounce between them, overspending 1 month and then punishing yourself with restriction the next. These aren't just bad habits, they can be seen as protective mechanisms, coping strategies your brain developed to keep you safe from a perceived threat. The problem is these old strategies might be sabotaging your future. To understand why it's so hard to break these patterns, let's talk about what might be happening in your brain. Let's use an illustrative example. Imagine a woman named Anna. She grew up in a household where money was always tight. She remembers her parents fighting over bills, the power getting shut off once, and the quiet shame she felt when she couldn't join a school trip. Now, Anna is a successful adult. Logically, she knows she's financially stable, but her brain doesn't just run on logic, it runs on memory. One day, she gets an unexpected bonus. Instead of feeling joy, a wave of panic washes over her. The large sum of money triggers the same old feeling of instability from her childhood. Her nervous system screams, "This is temporary, it's going to be taken away." So what does she do? She goes on a massive online shopping spree. For a few hours, it feels fantastic. She feels powerful. But the next morning, shame and regret hit her like a ton of bricks. She spent half her bonus, and her inner voice whispers, "See, you are bad with money." To compensate, she swings to the other extreme, terrified to spend anything for the next month, creating a painful loop. This isn't a failure of willpower. It's a trauma response in action. While not a clinically defined model, one way to understand this is as a cycle with a few key phases. Phase 1, the trigger. For Anna, it was the bonus. For you, it could be an unexpected bill or even seeing a friend's lavish vacation on Instagram. Phase 2, nervous system activation. The trigger alerts your brain to a past danger. The logical part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, starts to go offline as stress hormones kick in. Phase 3, the protective behavior. Your brain desperately wants to escape the panic. This is where the knee-jerk habit comes in. You might flee by impulsively spending or freeze by avoiding your finances entirely. Anna spent to feel a sense of control. Phase 4, short-term relief. It works for a moment. The spending spree gives Anna a dopamine hit. If you're an avoider, ignoring the problem makes the anxiety disappear temporarily. Phase 5, the long-term fallout. The relief is fleeting and what's left are the consequences, debt, guilt, and a reinforced belief that you're fundamentally broken when it comes to money. This shame makes you more vulnerable to the next trigger, strengthening the cycle. This loop is the ghost in the machine. It's an unconscious cycle where your attempts to protect yourself from old pain end up creating new pain. Does that cycle sound familiar? If you're seeing yourself in Anna's story, let me know in the comments which part resonates the most. You'll be surprised how many people feel the exact same way. Sharing your story is a powerful first step. So, how do you break a cycle that's so deeply wired into your nervous system? You can't just budget harder. The solution isn't about more restriction, it's about awareness. You have to look under the hood. The essential first step is to move from unconscious reaction to conscious observation. Here's a simple, powerful exercise to help. I call it trace the feeling. It's a mindfulness technique similar to exercises used in therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. For the next week, I want you to just observe. Don't try to stop your habits, just notice them. The next time you make a financial choice that feels even slightly off, whether it's an impulse buy or a moment of intense anxiety over a normal expense, I want you to pause right after it happens. And ask yourself one question: what was I feeling right before this? Don't judge the feeling, don't judge the action, just name it. Were you feeling bored, insecure after seeing a friend's post? Lonely, overwhelmed, or just tired? Get a notebook or use your phone, write it down. Felt stressed about work, bought 3 books. Felt lonely, scrolled clothing websites for an hour. Felt anxious about a bill, couldn't open my mail. That's it. That's the whole exercise. Why is this so powerful? Because this simple act of naming the emotion creates a tiny space between the trigger and your automatic response. It's like pressing pause on that cycle. For the first time, you are not just a passenger, you are an observer, taking notes. You're teaching your brain that a feeling is just a feeling. It doesn't have to trigger a financial action. Your financial struggles are not proof that you are lazy or bad with money. They are proof that you are human and that you learn to survive. These trauma responses were born to protect you from pain. They are learned survival mechanisms that, at one point, served a purpose. They just aren't serving you anymore. Taking back control doesn't start with a spreadsheet. It starts with self-compassion. It starts with the courage to listen to the story your money is trying to tell you. Because you are not broken, you may be wounded. And wounds can heal. The awareness you build today is the foundation for the financial peace you can have tomorrow. If this helped you see your own money story a little more clearly, please consider subscribing. And remember, while awareness is a powerful first step, if these feelings are overwhelming, there is absolutely no shame in seeking professional help. A trauma-informed therapist or a financial counselor can provide tools and support on your journey to healing. What was your biggest takeaway from this? Share it in the comments below.